Hey everyone, AMG SMG here, working on a 2012 Toyota Sienna. Going to be changing the rear and the front brakes. I'll take off the lug nuts. The only tool you really need for changing the front brakes on the Sienna would be a 14mm. And then the tools to take off the tire. You're going to need a jack and 2 jack stands for the front. Working on the rear of a 2012 Toyota Sienna, changing the brakes. Just got the lug nuts off for the tires. Ooh, that's a heavy tire. And then got the tire off. We'll set it down right here. Take a look at it. Okay. I just took the tire off, and you can see the rear brake pad is basically done. So all you gotta do is, after you take off the tire, make sure you have a jack stand. You should never go under the car with just a jack. You should always have a jack stand. And where you want to put the jack stand for the Sienna shows right here, right there. So you look under on this metal beam. It's just a part of the frame. So you come back here to change these brake pads right here. All you gotta do is take off this, which is, let's see, I think it's a 14 millimeter. It looks more like a 12. That looks too small to be a 14. It is a 14. So up here you might need to use a wrench for the top one. As you can see, this is not fitting in there. Let's go grab a wrench. So I got a 14mm wrench. Let's see if the box side fits. Yeah, it does. So basically you're gonna be, so if you go towards the left, so you'll be going down to take it off. Oh, there you go. The top one's loose. Loosen the bottom one. I don't know if you can see it, but so this is the one down here to take off the caliper. This is to take off the top bolt of the caliper. So you gotta remove these two to take off this whole piece, so you can take off the brake pads. There you go. So that's off. That one is now off. And your caliper comes off. Take off your caliper, set it up top, or hang it there. Make sure it's not gonna rip anywhere. And as you can see, the brake pad, the outer brake pad is more like at 0%. This one still probably has like probably 20%. So we'll just go ahead and change them out. All you do is slide them out like that. Slide this one out. Kind of hard to work with one hand. As I said in my last video, I need to go out and get a stand for my phone or get a camera with the stand. In other news, it's good weather today. There you go. It came off. You can see how much brake pad is left on there. If it will focus. And then how much is left on this one. That one's basically done. Another couple of miles probably would have been on the metal. So replace that. Rotor seams, decent. It's not too bad. I think it's too skinny to get it resurfaced. So another thing we'll be doing is we'll be taking off these boots that are on here. You see this is supposed to move freely up and down. So what you should do every time you change, slowly take off that boot. Make sure you don't rip it, because if you rip it and water goes into there, your brakes could get stuck. Because you can see there's barely any grease on there. So I'm gonna go grab some grease and grease these up. So basically, to grease these, you take them out, wipe them down, get them nice and clean. Alright. Get some grease on it. Like that, and just spread it on there. Like this. On there, and put some on the tip. And then just put it right back in. Make sure the boot is covering the edge then. Alright, it should be sitting there. Look how easily it's moving. Alright, that's one done, and then there's the second one. Yeah. So this is the top one. Put a nice amount, put some on the tip. Same thing. Slide it in there. Make sure the rubber boot comes all the way to the edge. So it's sealed. So you try to slightly pull it out. It shouldn't pull. The rubber should come with it. So you see how that one's moving. See how that one's moving. So those are in there. Now what we gotta do is push this piston back in. This piston, because if you put the new brakes, which are much thicker, it's not gonna fit in there. So I'll show you how to push this back in. So before you push the caliper piston back in, you want to come up here to the front, open the hood, which is right here next to the gas. What's up, guys? This is on the driver's side. You see this little cap right here? Open it up. And then take off that cap. As you can see how much is in there. When I push that piston back in, I guarantee it'll probably be at least till the top of the container. See where the max is? Probably halfway right now, because only the rear brakes are pretty much done. Front brakes have 50%. So once I push that piston in, this will rise up. So the reason why you take the cap off is it relieves the pressure, because that's a pressure sealed cap. So I'm going to show you how to push this in now. See if I can set my phone down somewhere. There you go. So what you do is grab your caliper, one of the old brake pads, make sure the pad side is against the piston. Take a C-clamp. I guess I gotta open it up a little more. And like that. Just slowly start pushing it in. Slowly, don't go too quickly. Just slowly start pushing it back in. As you can see it retracting. Without doing this, you can't put the new brake pads back on. The caliper won't fit over the new brake pads. So this is a must. That's it. That's in all the way. Take off the pad like this. I'll put the rubber seal back so it doesn't rip. Alright. That part's done. I'm gonna go grab the brake pads. Look at the comparison between the used one and the new one. How much brake pad there is. Like that. So we'll set the new brake pads down. Well, they put the grease in here. Hey, look, it's organic grease. First time. I guess we'll just use this instead of my brake quietener. See the floor like that? I can't. There you go. Now you should be able to see the brake pads. What you do is put some grease on them. They only gave one packet, so you have to ration it out to them. Just on the back of the pad, not the side that touches the rotor, the back part, not on this side, just on that side. Spread it out nice and evenly. Do the same thing with the other one. Remember, do not get any grease on this side. No grease on the brake pad side, only on the back side, where it has the numbers usually. So get a mount on there. Save the rest for the other one. And now I'm gonna replace the hardware. We call the brake hardware. That's gonna be these pieces right here. Let me bring it close to show you what I'm removing. This piece right here. Probably should have gotten a screwdriver. Would have been easier. There you go. Same on the other side. Just gotta lift it up a little. Hold on. Can I even replace that without? Oh yeah. Sorry about moving the camera. There you go. So it's off. I'm gonna keep it on this side so remember how the new one needs to go on. Same thing with that end. So like this. Oh, sorry. There you go, that side's in. The other side had it on the inside. And that one. So I'm back, I put the top one back on. Bring the inner one on now. There you go. That's back on, so basically brake pad now. Turn it a little sideways and then twist it. And that brake pad is in. And our brake pad, it's hard to do stuff with the camera. And looking inside. There you go. Twist it, slide it right on. Look at the difference in those brake pads. So that's on. Now that we push this caliper back in, I mean the piston for the caliper, we can put the caliper back on. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. There you go. There you go. Where are my caliper bolts? Here they are. gotta do is put those caliper bolts back on. I probably should have changed my gloves. Here's the other caliper bolt down here. Let's line it up and put them. And that's it. All you gotta do is tighten it and your brakes are done. Just gonna do the same thing on the other side. Hope this helped you. And yeah, that's about it. And make sure you put these clips on. So these clips tell you when it gets really low, it'll start scratching against the rotor. You hear a noise, a screeching noise, every time you hit the brakes, so you'll know it's time to change your brakes. So after you're done, make sure you tighten these 14mm bolt nice and snug. When you come back to the front, you'll see the brake fluid level go up. Where did it go? Oh, it didn't come as high as I thought it would, but it still came up. The rest of it, where it should get to max, is if you do the front brakes, it'll go over max. So now that the back brakes are done, we're not going to be changing the front. Close that. The cap back on. And that's it. Let's check his air filter. Not bad. And that's it. That's how you change the brakes.